Hello, Team Chesterfield. My name is Tim Bullis, and I have the privilege of working with Chesterfield County Public Schools Communications and Community Engagement Team. Thank you for taking a few minutes today to join us for our continuing updates regarding Chesterfield County Public Schools' plans to return students to in-person instruction this coming school year. In mid-July, the Chesterfield County School Board made the strategic decision to start the school year in a virtual learning environment. This means that our students will begin the fall semester learning from home while instructors teach online, able to utilize their classrooms with access to the materials and resources necessary to provide engaging lessons. Let's be clear again, we miss our students and we want them back in school, but when it is safe to bring them back. To that end, the school board committed to a phased-in approach to starting the 2020-2021 school year, working with local and state public health experts to identify metrics necessary for safely returning all students to in-class instruction. A public health committee, composed of individuals from the public health and medical professions, has been created to identify and monitor metrics for our students' safe return to school. All of their reports are available on the school division's website by clicking on the Project Restart link. On Tuesday, August 25th, the school board received a biweekly update on the Public Health Committee's review of metrics. Here to talk about that update today is our superintendent, Dr. Merv Doherty. Dr. Doherty, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tim.
So let's start off with a quick review of the Public Health Committee's work. This is the second public presentation that they have made. The first presentation identified the suggested metrics that we should use to monitor and implement to successfully return our students eventually to in-person instruction. Can you talk about some of the metrics that they are considering?
Glad to, Tim. And just to let people know, this is a CCPS health panel. We are privileged to have the medical professionals as well as from our risk management team, as well as from the county health department. And the committee has done a great job of making sure they look at all data. And so we have 3 points of data that are public pieces of information. And the coding is very simple in the state. It's green, yellow, orange, and red. And they've looked at the Harvard model and tweaked the Harvard model to make it fit the Chesterfield County opportunities. But they also asked to say, let's look at forecasting, let's look at projections, let's look at research, what it says. Let's make sure that we're looking at the data correctly. And I commend them for that. And you know, the health department is privy to data that we're not. And so Dr. Samuel has been a very important piece to the panel to share with them projections and concerns. And on the face, if you just go, you know, almost like an iceberg, when you look at the top of the iceberg, that 15% looks wonderful, but that 85% underneath the water can sink the ship. And so with that data that he is privy to, the committee looked at a wide range of things, staying with the core of their foundation of metrics, but knowing that there was underlying data that was pretty serious. And looking at that data and looking at projections that all models that they looked at, all models in the state, projecting that there would be a pretty high spike in the next several weeks, they did not want to start school and say, you know, we may have to close it down because of the issues. And they felt better about pausing until September 14th to say, when we start school, we really want to say we can start school. That doesn't mean we have to be in the green or all yellow. We can be in orange, and it can be in the lower segments of orange, and they're comfortable with recommending us to go back. The issue is when you look at cases, you look at positivity rates, you look at hospitalization, you look at the burden of placement. When you think of Chesterfield County, you also have to think about the surrounding areas where many of our people live. And so I do not have a say in the committee. I don't vote on the committee. I'm only there to give them information that the board has asked for. But the opportunities that we have, and I don't even have to be present for the committee because I have no say. And I truly think it's important that that stays in that manner. But the opportunity for the panel to meet, to make discussions, knowing that they're meeting every week with reports back to the board every 2 weeks. And they feel very comfortable. They felt very comfortable. They were unanimous on keeping us on a pause for right now. That's why when we presented on the 25th, it was an opportunity to say, here we are on the 14th. If they give us a go, here's where we're moving to. We are ready to start on the 8th with virtual, a commitment that we feel strongly about. for all of our students. We truly hope that the phase-in plan is going to start as soon as possible, but our commitment is safety and health, and I will continue to stay there. I know it's not a popular decision for some, for others it is. I would love to get to that hybrid model as soon as possible, and when the panel says go, we're going to turn the key and go.
So to acknowledge what was reported at the school board work session, the ratings for hospitalizations were in orange, and the ratings for number of cases and percent positivity were in yellow. That was a good thing that two things had moved from yellow from orange to yellow.
Correct. And we have to remember it was over that week period, and so it did drop. The other data pieces and the metrics that they were using as indicators and projections were saying that sometimes it's better to be in all orange than to be where we were with cases moving in another direction. And so, our medical experts have children in schools, and they want them back in school. But we did say we were going to listen to the experts. There was a comment given to me that they looked at other data, and I commend them for doing that because they wanted to be thorough about what they were saying. They were putting their name. They have an integrity issue that they want to keep. And even though when you look at the important pieces of the data, they were not looking just at surface. And there's always more to data if you keep looking and keep digging, and I commend them for that.
So while those two areas dropped from orange to yellow, the hospitalizations as a region went up, and I think I heard that gave them pause to see, is this an issue that is coming into Chesterfield, meaning we're on the back end of a curve, or is it leaving Chesterfield, which means we were leading and we're actually the first in the region to see a decrease? That's the reason
yes,
for the pause?
And we did provide the data metrics, not only the presentation, but we did provide publicly the data metrics that the team put together, showing that we were coming into a new curve. We weren't leaving a curve, we were coming into a new spike. And as Dr. Samuel indicated to us, or to the panel, but as stated publicly in a meeting, that they are projecting, as all models are, a spike that's going to move us in significant numbers through the Labor Day period.
So the next key marker for us is September 14th. What happens then?
On September 14th, they will give another report, a public report. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. They will make another recommendation. If they say, let's go to school, then as we indicated, we did give a calendar of events. We are hoping to move forward. We were hoping to move forward yesterday. We were planning on opening schools on the 14th for our cohort number 1. That will be pushed back. So once we start on the 4th, if they say go on the 14th, every 2 weeks we will enter a new cohort in to the system.
So if, and we want to be clear with
That's
that
a big
if for the community, because we thought we might be moving forward yesterday on the 25th. If the data is stable and or continues to trend downward, who is the first group of students who comes back to us?
We'll be working with all of our special education level 2 students. They will be K to 12. They will be first. The second cohort will be pre-K to 2 plus our CTE students. Our cohort 3 will be grades 3 to 5. And then our cohort 4 will be all 6 to 12 students. And we will be using the option 4B, which is A to K students, last names, come to us on Monday and Tuesday for instruction. And we have a Wednesday day for individual opportunities, phone calls, conferences, cleaning. And then on Thursday and Friday, we will have L to Z. And we know that some families have different names, and so our schools will be working with them. If students, they have 2 students and they have 2 last names, you want them together, you don't want them together, we're flexible in that manner. We will also, in the hybrid model, still allow families, and a lot of our families have asked to stay virtual. And so they will stay virtual in that opportunity, and they will stay virtual as long as they feel that they need to.
I think another thing we need to be clear with our community about is when we get to that hybrid model and you're in on a Monday or a Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday, I should say, Thursday and Friday and Wednesday are asynchronous learning. They are
Right.
not joining the classroom.
They will have assignments. There'll be videos. There'll be assignments. There'll be software packages to use, and the teachers will make sure, because when they come back the following week, they will be checking work, handing in work, because we will be taking attendance. We will be grading. We're doing assessments, as we're doing right now with NWEA for grades 3 to 10. We're making sure that we are understanding where the gaps are for our students. We're not here just to remediate. Our goal is to teach and advance the lessons, so we're preparing our students for a full academic year.
So on September 14th, if the data is accurate and public and is trending in the right direction, we then bring students back the last week in September. Walking that out, it sounds like all students are back in school if we continue that trend for the whole time by the start of the second 9 weeks.
November 9th would be the last cohort to come in.
And we very much want all the students in school as quickly as possible.
That is correct.
Okay. I think it's also important to note that when you come back into a hybrid setting, you're not, as we just said, face-to-face with teachers for 4 or 5 days. And so there is that instructional work. You mentioned some of the programs that we are going to be using. Just quickly describe what a virtual learning environment looks like for our families.
When you think about the opportunity of a student going online in the morning, having announcements, having a morning exercise, and we're doing a lot of social and emotional activities. From the elementary side, having a reading session and a group session, breaking out into individual or even small group sessions, having considerable amount of breaks throughout, getting students away, having exercise time. They'd have lunchtime, and they would even go offline to do work. And so the opportunity for them throughout that day is to come on and off the opportunity of learning, and to allow teachers to work in small groups as well. The goal for all of our students, pre-K to 12, was to simulate a day, a normal school day. It would be condensed somewhat, because we understand the amount of time should be limited for young learners. And as you get older in the elementary to middle to high, you'll see that time increase. Our secondaries, 6 to 12, are going to follow their teaching schedule. They will not have a 90-minute class, but they will have enough time to get the content in and then allow work to be done and questions to be asked. Because our expectation is, for a teacher, is every day when you see your students, first of all, do a review to make sure they've learned as you scaffold knowledge, then teach new content. But before you leave the group in that content area, make sure they have a clear understanding, usually called exit question, exit tickets, some terminology. But every day we are, one, refining what we've learned the day before, giving new information, and making sure some of that information has stayed with the students.
So just to recap, September 8th, the first day of school, virtual learning for all students. The next marker is September the 14th, when our school board will receive its next presentation from
Correct.
the Public Health Committee. If the data is stable and or continuing to trend downward, we could look at bringing students back on the
29th.
Then having them all back in perhaps by November 9th.
November 9th.
There is a tremendous amount of information that we have already shared. There is a tremendous amount of information that we will be sharing. Help parents understand what they'll be seeing over the next 2 weeks from their schools and the school division.
Some of the information they've already seen, but we're going to put it back out there as breaking down the plan into sections. Also videos on how to use a Chromebook, what a day in the life of from bus to bus, we call it, from getting on the bus, getting off the bus, being in the building, going to have lunch, going to class, walking the hallways, looking at information from our health plan and what we expect. And we want to share with parents that we have a very strong health plan. It was 9 pages, but we're going to break it down with a video showing you what happens even when a child gets sick in the building, what are our responsibilities. We've been given very strict guidelines, especially from the Department of Labor, and looking at the requirements we have for nurses and our isolation rooms. We also want to have videos that share how to use Canvas. I think the tech team, they have a video in multiple languages on how to use the Chromebook, and it really is not very much language, it's demonstrating it. So we're doing hands-on practices on how to use it, and they've made it extremely easy to us to use the programs, to receive our Chromebooks. And our guarantee in equity is that all of our students have a Chromebook and all of our students have access to internet. And to our parents right now and people watching, if you do not have internet and you need a hotspot or you need internet, let your principal know of the school, because we're keeping a spreadsheet of every school, because we've been given donations from multiple foundations to help cover that cost. And so we have an outstanding opportunity either with Comcast or with hotspots to making sure that all of our people have internet access.
So a different look to the school year, a different start to the school year. A lot of information has already been communicated, a lot more to communicate. Parents, we apologize, but we're going to over-communicate to make sure that you are saturated with the information that you need to make sure that your child starts the year and has success immediately. Where else can parents go to find out information about everything that we've done?
Well, one is we want to put everything out in our weekly memo to parents. Two, everything goes on our website. And three, everything that we have on our website will also go on to the school's website as well. And I think we want to continue to put information out. Even after the 8th, we will continue to put information out, do videos. We will be out in schools constantly. We are going to make sure signage is up, taping's on the floor, information is there, masks, gowns, shields, gloves, wipes, sanitizers, hand wash. You know, we are checking, double checking, triple checking, especially in the next 2 weeks, to make sure what we have is in the buildings, and that the adults in the building feel safe and comfortable, that our parents feel safe and comfortable, and that our children feel safe and comfortable coming back.
So inevitably there will be a bump in the road at some point. There has not been a school division who has opened so far who has not experienced some sort of turbulence in reopening. You just reassured parents that we will make it as safe and as hospitable as we can. What do you say to parents who are concerned about sending their child back to school?
That is really a family decision. It's not if a case is going to open up, it's when. Our responsibility is to make sure that we identify it immediately. We are still waiting with help from the health department on tracing opportunities, and that is efficient through the health department. The opportunity to say it happened, there's nothing to hide about this, and to take the appropriate action to deal with it. You don't have to close a school down because a case occurs, but you do want to make sure that the contact that individual had or in the area, and you see it around the country. School in Mississippi where the entire 4th grade was quarantined. And so it's not when, it's not if, but when. And our health people are prepared. There will be issues that occur that we will have to tweak. There'll be things we have to do to make better. We are working extremely hard to make sure all the filters are in place. The amount of effort that's going into this process from a system our size. When you think about systems that open, there are systems that are opening that Thomasdale High School is larger than. And we're just saying we want to make sure that we do everything right, knowing that as things change daily, we'll have to adjust. And that's where we are.
So 2 requests to our families as we begin to close out. The first one is easy, and the second, in the society we live in, can be a bit more difficult. The first is to contact your child's school and to make sure that we have your correct contact information, phone numbers, emails, any way that we can reach out to you. During the next couple of weeks, we will continue to send phone calls, texts, and emails with information that you need to start the school year. The second request is one for grace and patience. We continue to work to do everything that we can to prepare the best learning environment, not only for our students, but for our staff as well. And as we just discussed, there will be bumps and hiccups along the way. We ask that you bear with us as we work to serve your children to the best of our abilities. And with that, any final comments?
We're ready to go. We're just waiting for the approval from the health panel to move, and hope that people follow the rules of wearing masks and keeping social distancing and getting everybody healthy.
So folks, you heard it straight from the superintendent. Get your mask on, let's keep these numbers down, and we want our students back in school. As always, we appreciate you tuning in today. Thank you for your continued support. Have a great day.